Welcome, then is the Republican response. Missouri Republican Senator Roy Blunt with me now. Sir, good day to you from Capitol Hill.
How are you, Bill?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for your time today. You called for a year of action yourself over the weekend. What do you expect tonight from the Republican response after President Obama is finished?
You know, I think the most important response is the president's response after he's finished. How a president follows up on what he says he wants to do makes a big difference, and so much of what we've heard he wants to do is not to let the Constitution work, but just to do whatever he thinks he can do on his own. I think that's a big mistake for the president to make. There are lots of places you could go where either bills have already passed the Republican House or lots of bills in the Senate that are co-sponsored by Republicans and Democrats that the president and the Senate majority and the House could get done right away if the president really wants that to happen.
Would you expect that tonight?
Yeah, you know, from what I hear, this pen and telephone thing continues to bother me. The president who thinks that's to be president, to sign executive orders or on his own, decide how businesses that contract, small businesses, minority businesses, veteran-owned businesses that contract with the federal government are supposed to run their business. I mean, we've already seen the problems we have just trying to take over so much of the health insurance industry. Now we want to take over how federal contractors run their business as well. I don't know why the president can't. The president's in a better shape, Bill, than anybody in the country to figure out what he'd like to do that's possible. And that last element is the one that President Obama seems to have such a hard time accepting, is what's possible of what he'd like to do as opposed to exactly the way he wants it.
Two more things here. There were three different responses tonight. Kathy McMorris Rodgers is one on the House side. Mike Lee is with the Tea Party out of Utah on another side. Rand Paul, who is likely running for the White House in 2016, he's going to make a statement too. Do all these messages, do they get lost in this shuffle, sir? What do you think?
Well, I think the response largely does get lost in the shuffle. This is about the president and what he says. Republicans make the most of their opportunities to talk about what he says. I would bet, without knowing what any of the three people you mentioned are going to see, that they're all three going to be talking about jobs, about creating opportunity, that the real inequity in the country is inequity of opportunity, not inequity of income, but inequity of opportunity. I think they'll all be talking about that and I think that's what the country, frankly, wants to see.
I mean,
nothing does more for a family than a good job.
I apologize for interruption, but the economy still ranks as #1 in all this polling now, too, and the president,
well, of course,
is well
and a good job
is
a good job is the most important thing in the economy, and a private sector job. Things that there are lots of parts of the economy ready to move forward. Manufacturing, transportation, energy drives a lot of all of that. And I think to a great extent, those things have been held back by the president's policies. This is no longer somebody else's economy.
Well, we're going to hear
5 years of blaming the last people is enough. I think it's time for the president to take responsibility, find out what can be done, and work with the Congress to get it done.
Just one more quick thing. I have 15 seconds for it. I apologize it's so brief. Health care will come up tonight, whether it's by the president or one of the others responding. And three Republican senators late yesterday came out with their own idea, their own plan. Can you get that done before 2016? Or is that something that is 2017 and beyond, do you think, Senator?
Well, I'd like to think it can get done before. I'm afraid of what happens to the really good health care system we've benefited from that needed some improvements if we let the rolling disaster of the president's health care plan continue to have the impact it's clearly having on both the workplace and on health care.
Senator, thank you. Roy Blunt from Missouri and Capitol Hill.